What's going on, people? Today I have a 4K catch up to do for you guys, and I got that coming up for you next. So quite a few releases have gotten released in the past month, and I have had a lot of trouble keeping up with them. I'm going to do a real fast catch up on three of the past releases that I have yet to review for you guys, because I have some other bigger reviews that I want to do for you guys for full videos like what I usually do. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say that if you enjoyed this video and you want to see a whole lot more videos like this, subscribe. You can do that right down here, and it helps me out and it helps you out as well, because you will be reminded when any of my other videos come out. Comment down below also. Let me know about what you thought of any of these releases if you had the chance to pick them up. I am getting to them a bit late, so hey, maybe you guys have seen these before this video goes up. Getting into the first release that I'm going to be talking about today, that will be Creed 2. And, you know, this one, I wanted to do a full video for you guys. Specifically, you know, I went to the movie theaters to actually review the movie when it was out in theaters. You can see that review right up over here. And, you know, I really enjoyed the movie. I didn't feel like it was as good as Creed, but I felt like it was a very worthy sequel that still had a lot of the heart. And to get into how this 4K disc looked, this is actually given a 2K digital intermediate, so this is actually an upscale to 4K, but we are blessed with Dolby Vision here. And how does this stand up to the original Creed in 4K? I would say that the original Creed, I've never reviewed that for you guys, the 4K quality anyway, there is a lot of digitally added grain to that release, and even though I do like how that movie looks, I actually enjoyed the way that this one looks a bit better. It looks a lot more cleaner. It looks more polished. And a lot of you grain haters out there, you'll enjoy this one because this just has more of a digital look to it. And a lot of the bluer, more saturated hues here are emphasized by the HDR, and a lot of things do really pop with it. I will say that Dolby Vision doesn't add too much here. You know, there aren't just a lot of moments for that. I would say that the biggest moments are during the boxing matches, where you get a lot of the more bright and vibrant colors. You get the overhead lights shining at you, and that is definitely a lot more noticeable with Dolby Vision. But other than that, you know, this is a pretty damn good video presentation here, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. But as far as the Dolby Atmos audio goes, this is actually really damn good, really solid. There are tons of atmospheric noise all throughout your surround. Bass response is excellent here, and thumps when it needs to, like at that at the end fight where Bianca comes out playing that song that she has there. I forget the name of it. But it actually is recreated expertly well here. Height speaker use is light, but, you know, what you're going to do? It is more of a dramatic movie, and during the fight scenes, you can definitely hear the crowd in the height speakers. I will give that an 8 out of 10. Also, next movie on the docket, I'm going to be rolling right around to Lord of War in 4K. This movie is actually one of the last really great Nicolas Cage movies that I can remember seeing. I don't really enjoy his newer films today, unfortunately, but I definitely did enjoy this one, and I loved coming back to it. This is a lot more grounded performance from Nicolas Cage, and he still has his cageisms. He's still going crazy, but it's just a lot more well constructed of a story, and it's one that really fits his personality. And I genuinely really do like the just the tone and the vibe of this movie and Cage's performance. And getting into the video quality here, this was actually given a 2K scan, and so what that means is this is actually an upscale to 4K. But don't worry about that, because this actually looks pretty good in 4K, actually. And right off of the top, where you see the bullet going through all of the stages of its life, it is a awesome scene that I truly do love, and in 4K it definitely does pop. This is a pretty sharp looking movie for especially for the time that it came out, and it definitely has some soft edges to it though, but nothing troubling. And as far as the HDR and the Dolby Vision goes here, I will say that you see the most of it during the Africa scenes, or during scenes where Nicolas Cage is in the desert, and you'd get the more harsh lighting. And, that really does lend itself very well to HDR and 4K. You definitely get a lot more of the harsh lights and the glare, but besides that, I do feel like this is more of a dramatic movie, so you aren't going to get the kind of flash that really would make, especially the Dolby Vision, stand out a lot. And for that, I do feel like this is still a solid release. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And as far as the audio quality here, this was actually given Dolby Atmos support. And that is where this truly shines. I do feel like this is a very aggressive mix. Again, with the beginning of the film, where you see the bullet getting made and getting put into the assembly line, and all of that, the whole bullet's entire being. You do get quite a bit of height speaker use there, and you get a decent amount of just a wide field of sound that feels very massive. And surrounds are aggressive here, along with bass response. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I do feel like this was a lot better than what I was expecting it to be. And last but certainly not least, I have to talk to you guys a little bit about Pet Sematary in 4K, because they are celebrating their 30th anniversary, and they came out with a pretty looking 4K release that I actually do genuinely enjoy the new box art. And the movie itself is pretty good. This is one that I did really like when I was growing up, but unfortunately, I feel like it didn't age that well over time. There's a lot of hokey things with this movie that don't play for modern day audiences, and really, I noticed it a lot with this viewing, with my more critical eye for reviewing. And that is unfortunate, but I still do really like the concepts and the ideas behind this Pet Sematary movie. And there are some things, a lot of things with Gage towards the end of the movie that they still play. And I forget the guy's name, but Herman Munster, the guy that played Herman Munster in The Munsters, he's in this movie and he is awesome. I'm gonna give the movie a 7 out of 10. It's good, but I remember it being great. And getting into the video quality here, this was actually given a 4K scan, so it has a 4K digital intermediate with Dolby Vision support. So This movie has had a troubled history on DVD and on Blu-ray. It never really has looked great, and it's looked very soft with weird skin tones. To be honest with you, a lot of that is fixed here. You know, I wouldn't say that this is the sharpest movie in my collection. You know, there are softer edges to it, but this is the sharpest that Pet Sematary has ever looked. Um, you know, detail is okay. You know, you get a lot of detail in facial features, and you know, as far as that goes, that is a big step up from the lackluster Blu-ray that actually had come out a few years ago. And when you get to the HDR here, HDR is subtle, and Dolby Vision, that is subtle as well. Again, this movie, it's not the kind of movie that's really going to play up the HDR and the Dolby Vision. A lot of the skin tones are toned down here, and that can be attributed to the HDR. But beyond that, I don't really see the reason to give this Dolby Vision support. And I don't really see what that really brings to the table. And for that, I am going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's still the best looking that Pet Sematary has ever looked. It's just not really saying that much. And getting into the audio here. This was actually given a DTS HD 5.1 mix, so they just ported it over from the Blu-ray, but that's okay. This is still a pretty damn good mix, especially for a film that was made in 1989. This is pretty aggressive in the surrounds, and bass response is pretty damn good as well. The score of the film is expertly recreated here, especially when you get that Ramon song that I really like that they made for this movie. You know, it's just a good audio mix. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. So, guys, the reason that I lumped all of this into one video is so I can move on and finally get to Aquaman and Bumblebee. Got those two right behind me over here. Those are coming up next. Can't wait to review that for you guys. And if you can't wait either, make sure you subscribe like I said at the beginning of the video. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome. I don't need to say it because you know it. And I will see all of you next time.